here today to check out some more cricket.
But should we just call it like Cricket Tuesday or something like that?
Cricket Tuesday.
Cricket Tuesday.
Cricket Tuesday.
It was repeating itself. Didn't we just see that?
It's so true, though.
Okay, well, first of all,
true.
Mitch Johnson, Brett Lee, MS Dhoni. With all that boring stuff out of the way, this is a very important, momentous occasion.
Hello, Boring Review Nation. Gabe, Nick, and we are here today reacting to yet another cricket video on Cricket Tuesday.
Cricket Tuesday.
All right, guys. Now, you know it's funny. You guys had let us know, hey, Australia and India are playing in the was it the T20 or the Women's Championship, and I was like, oh, in the final, I was like, oh, that's super cool. So the other night, I'm sitting down, and my Hotstar app actually said, oh, the game's on now. It was late for us too. It was like
midnight or so.
Yeah, it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So I click into it, whatever, to go check it out or whatnot. And I'm watching. I tell Nick, oh, dude, I'm watching it right now on TV because it's on my phone, and I got a smart TV, so it's on TV. You got to click it on or whatever. And Nick was like, well, I'm watching something else right now, but maybe I'll catch it up as soon as I finish this.
Watching another Indian show.
And then I had to text him back like, yeah, it was a preview from Hotstar. Now they're trying to charge me $50 for the whole year. I guess they must have figured out that, you know, people just like subscribe for a month and then cancel before the 7-day trial or whatever.
Hotstar, I know you're watching this. Hook some brothers up. Some advertising will come your way.
I'm a teacher, man. That makes me excessively poor, all right?
Yes,
help me out here. And I got a kid in college.
Let's go month to month. Come on.
But, you know, I saw it literally was like maybe a 5 or 7 minute period. It was less than 10 minutes or whatnot. And I was like, oh, but it was pretty cool, man. I understood something that I had never understood.
Did you see any Sixers?
Did not see any Sixers, but when they threw the cricket ball and the lady swung and missed because it got behind the other the catcher or the person in the back, the wicket keeper or whatnot, you're still allowed to run. I had not seen that. So the lady,
no contact, but it gets
with
by
no
him?
contact, it got by him, and I was like, wait, did she hit the ball? Why is she running? They were able to do it. I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. And moving into this video, there was a lot of offense. Okay, like I said, it was right when the game started or whatnot, but you know, we've been watching all these bowlers and we're thinking, man, how does anybody ever get a hit in cricket? Well, dude, these pitchers were out there dealing. These bowlers were dealing in this. So it was like, okay, maybe we need to do some offense. And they've been requesting for some offense. So that's what we're going to do today.
And I told him that we're going to be doing some offense. And I just hope. My computer just told me it might restart in a few minutes. I hope it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I just hope that I was correct. This is an offensive player. I'm pretty sure it is. We're looking at a Patreon request from Arjit. We just did an Arjit request before, but this is one that he made a while ago. And so, Arjit, you're getting some extra love. He's our original patron. So we like to take care of all of our patrons. We have a new patron, Samir. Welcome. Thank you so much. Blair and Awi, also our newer patrons. Thanks so much for joining Born Review Nation.
Welcome to the family.
Yes, and so we're looking at Rahul Dravid, The Wall of Cricket, an inspirational documentary from 2019. We're going to be reacting to this. Just in case you're curious, we did not plan our wardrobe beforehand. These are two different players from the teams that we like. They just happen to have the same number on it.
It's a throwback. I'm trying to make myself feel better because as a Yankees fan, if you guys are paying attention, the Yankees' entire team is already injured once again. Last year, which was unheard of, our entire 25-man roster at some point was on their injured list. Already this year, we've lost six players, and we're in spring training. So baseball season is going to be rough. So I'm like, you know, ready for football season already.
His team is the best team. So he's mad because not all of them are healthy right now. But when they are,
stop it.
It's going to be out of control. It's going to be out of control. All right, so let's get into this.
That is super cool. I like that.
Yeah. I wonder if just the guy who did this channel did that. That's cool.
That is pretty cool. Some serious editing.
Is there any such thing as perfect technique? It's a question as old as civilization is, but watching Rahul Dravid bat can make it almost redundant. What does the perfect technician care about playing conditions from home or abroad, spinning tracks and seaming tracks? Not much. This is what makes Dravid Indian cricket's Mr. Dependable.
Short and it's gone again.
adding steel to the artistic Indian
Dude, that's
middle
put at
order.
his head. How does he?
You come across someone who's very
Head all the
studious,
way to hit that.
who is very serious about his cricket, and who is always keen to learn and improve.
If you had to put or had to bet on somebody to play for your life, that would be Rahul Dravid.
Born into a middle-class family with humble aspirations, Dravid's love for sport was built in very early. By the time he was 12, he had already been spotted as a cricketer with immense potential.
Right from the time I can remember, I've always held a bat or ball in my hand. So it was always going to be cricket for me.
Dravid modelled himself after no less a man than Sunil Gavaskar. In his time, Gavaskar's defence was unbreachable, his batting the nearest to perfection it could get.
You sort of admired people like Gavaskar and Vishwanath, but I never made a conscious effort. But I think the fact that my coach stressed a lot on the basics initially growing up, sort of made a big impact on my game.
Dravid used these qualities to pile on massive scores in the domestic circuit. For 5 years, he consistently put the runs on the board till a call-up to the national side was inevitable.
That's going to be 100.
And I think Rahul was outstanding. I mean, the way he batted, the way he concentrated, his preparation. I think his solid defense was something which you can feel that, okay, this guy is ready for the next level. But at that point in time, I felt that he belongs to the big man's world.
Lord's 1996, Dravid's first step in the big man's world. It was only apt that a man in the classical mold make his debut at cricket's most hallowed turf. Fellow debutant Saurav Ganguly hit an unforgettable century. Dravid was unlucky to miss it by just 5 runs.
Firstly, it was a great honor and a privilege to play for your country. It was a dream come true for me to walk in with an Indian team and with an Indian cap. And then to get 95 runs in that game, I would have taken that. Sure, it would have been nice to get a 5 more, but I came back from the tour with a lot of self-belief and confidence in my ability to play at the international level, and so the runs really didn't matter.
It was the perfect launching pad for the young, intense boy from Bangalore. With his rock-solid defense, his unflappable patience for the long grind, and his drive to succeed in tough conditions, India had an answer to their overseas struggles.
He negotiates the moving ball, the fast ball, much better than most of the players. He reads the line and the length perfectly, and the way he leaves the ball, which are not required to be played.
Dravid's stress on technique and patience was an incomparable virtue in white. But it was a double-edged sword when he turned out to play the shorter, faster version of the game.
There was a tough phase when Rahul wasn't doing well in one-day cricket, and then he was dropped and he made a comeback. I think that's the phase when he had a real look at his batting in one-day cricket.
But a man of such immense talent and skill as Rahul Dravid can't stay down for too long. When he was ready to be the best. In the 1999 World Cup, a new Rahul Dravid took the field. He could drive the ball with perfect elegance, pull it with disdain, and didn't hesitate to loft bowlers all over the park. He finished as the tournament's highest run getter.
If you look at pure stroke making ability, a stroke or hitting the ball ability, I wasn't the most talented, or I'm not the most gifted player in that sense. But I've made my game work for me over a period of time. I've succeeded over a period of time, and I think I've maximized my talents to a large extent.
But the change to the new millennium was rife with scandals and defeats for Indian cricket. Hurt and confused by the match-fixing saga that tore the game apart, it was time for introspection.
It was quite ugly. I mean, that period was probably the most difficult periods of my cricket, or anybody's cricket. There was a bit of a loss of faith in the people.
Dravid left the storm behind to work on his game in the English county season. When he returned, it was with a new awareness of his role in Indian cricket.
I went and stayed alone for 6 months, went away from home, and just enjoyed the thing of being in another dressing room, another atmosphere. Came back very refreshed and keen to look at the at international cricket with totally different light. And And I think that was a critical phase for me, a critical time for me, the stint in county cricket, which helped me sort of open my eyes to a lot more things than I was used to.
Team India was ready to build on the ruins. Saurav Ganguly was given the reins of a fresh team, and Dravid was to be his trusted lieutenant. It was for them now to show a new way.
Absolutely berserk. What a terrific performance by India. Rahul Dravid, a very sensible knock from him.
They've won this one in great style. There's absolutely 2001. The invincible Aussies were giving a new and confident Indian team reason to feel old and worn out. 16 test wins in a row, and the Aussies were hungry for more. India had been shot down in ruthless fashion in the first test. In the second test in Kolkata, India were again staring down the barrel.
He's cleaned him up here.
When Rahul Dravid walked out to join VVS Lakshman at the crease, they still needed 42 runs to avoid an innings defeat.
This time he pulls,
And then, history happened. Dravid and Lakshman batted like modern-day gladiators. They batted till the self-doubt was gone. The demons were slayed, and the Aussie onslaught halted. Dravid scored
That is
180
crazy. That was going
runs,
behind him
an
and
effort
really knocked over the
eclipsed
wickets.
only by Lakshman's record-breaking innings at the other end.
It really has been a masterpiece from VVS Lakshman.
Calcutta was special because when we beat Australia after following on, I think that was something that, you don't do that very often. Not many teams, follow on and then go on to win a test match and then win a series from there.
I think that was the point where it really switched for him. I mean, that's the first and the last time you'll see him gesticulating so sort of vehemently towards the press box. I think that was the innings where he actually finally sort of relaxed and he said, he was able to, in the company of Lakshman, who plays at a very different pace to him, he was able to sort of almost cross that mental barrier.
India have won the test match. Team India was soaring to new heights, from Kolkata to Headingley, Adelaide to Rawalpindi, Jamaica to Perth. Dravid's bat was scripting glowing new chapters in the history of Indian cricket. At one point during this incredible run, Dravid slammed 4 centuries in successive innings. Even more stunning, 4 double hundreds in the space of just 15 tests. Each of them resulting in historic away wins.
I'm not sure if that's good footwork or bad footwork.
Around which the entire body is formed, and I think he was the backbone around which all the others could exhibit their artistry and greatness.
वो लॉन्ग टर्म में सोच के चलते हैं ना कि शॉर्ट टर्म में वो ये सोच के चलते हैं कि ठीक है ओके अभी मैं बैटिंग करने गया हूँ लेकिन अगर मैं एंड ऑफ द डे नॉट आउट होऊंगा तो मेरी टीम को क्या फायदा होगा.
Like a perfect diamond, each innings by Dravid had a different facet. Headingley was all about technical perfection, a masterclass on a nightmarish pitch for visiting teams.
It was a very grey and cloudy day. It was not a day that most captains would have chosen to bat first.
Control,
I remember
brother.
he took a lot of balls in his body because
it
it was kind of nipping around and sometimes bouncing.
That is back
and
control right there.
it did not matter to him. He would let it come on to him, let it hit him. It didn't matter. He was there for 148 runs.
That's well played.
Adelaide was a supreme example of not wilting under pressure. India had lost early wickets, chasing a massive Aussie score. Dravid provided the fortification once again, taking India to an incredible win. In that series, his average was a staggering 123.
In a situation where we were, to actually get very close to the Australian total, I think it was basically due to Rahul's phenomenal innings.
We sort of broke that myth that in the sort of invincible Australian team in Australia, they were beaten in Australia after a very long time.
Oh, magnificent.
Rawalpindi was all about the art of war, a blistering attack to score an epic 270.
This golden period wouldn't have been possible without his contribution. That goes without saying. If he had not made those runs,
That deserves a get away from him.
Had this golden period at all.
In Dravid, the old and the new blended seamlessly. Substance and style walked hand in hand. The anchor man at number 3 was the best ever for India in that crucial position. And he was the only Indian batsman with a better record outside the country.
It was back control in the way he was his body get ready for what's going to happen next.
You always wanted to try and do well abroad. I mean, that was one of the things that people always, growing up, when I first started cricket, a lot of former players A lot of the players in my own team said that, you'll really be judged by what you do abroad. And I think that's somewhere that stayed with me.
In one-day matches, Dravid was radically adapting. With India struggling to find a good wicket-keeper batsman, Sourav Ganguly handed him the arduous job of staying behind the wickets. He was coming down the order too, completing crucial wins for India.
Once he started keeping the wickets, then he knew that, if he doesn't score too many runs, he's there as a keeper as well, because I think he did a good job. So I think it made a lot of difference to his career. And yes, as you said, it gave a lot of balance to the Indian team as well.
The equation looked simple. If Dravid scored, India were guaranteed a win. And he was difficult to get out. It was the perfect combination.
If you look at the records, if you see Sourav has 21 test victories, and if you see Rahul Dravid's average in those matches, I think it's about 100. He was the most influential player in Sourav's team.
But the cool, collected and ordered world that Dravid had built around him, a world defined by the reach of his bat, was about to explode. Controversy was brewing and a new role was in the horizon. Times of change are seldom peaceful. For Team India, it was nothing less than a violent upheaval. The Chappell Sourav saga exploded like a landmine, and when Sourav Ganguly was sacked as Team India's captain, Dravid was the natural choice to fill his shoes.
Dravid wanted the captaincy as well, and he was a good man for it. He's a solid player. He led by example. In the first 6 to 8 months that he led the team, he also raised his performances even more.
Dravid had a dream start to his captaincy, winning an ODI series in Sri Lanka, a historic test series in West Indies, the first time in 35 years.
Victory to Rahul Dravid and a series victory to India.
But behind the scenes, things were different. Stories of a divided dressing room, leaks from the team management, more public spats. Chappell's Team India looked like an unhappy and resentful side, and it showed on the field. India suffered a shocking exit at the 2007 World Cup. Rahul Dravid could hardly bear to watch.
Somehow the team sort of fell apart under him. He could not hold it together, and I think a lot of this was due to his approach as captain, and not just his, but Greg Chappell's. I think Chappell was the more dominant figure.
Dravid made a comeback as captain, winning yet another historic away series, beating England at home for the first time in 21 years. But he was struggling to keep the balance between his batting and captaincy, and the rifts inside Team India were growing deeper. Dravid the batsman thrived in adversity, but Dravid the captain wilted under pressure and resigned.
Chappell should have helped him, work better with the team rather than, the way that it turned out. I mean, Chappell was just a bad manager of men. We all know the stories about the things that he said about players and so on.
It's not easy to give up captaincy. The very fact that he did give up captaincy goes to just show the man didn't want to do something against his own wishes or something he wasn't enjoying.
After a decade of untiring contributions, Dravid's bat too had suddenly stopped talking. He looked like he had become a slave to his technique, and as the failures piled up, Dravid looked helpless and haunted on the field. He was dropped from the one-day side and holding on to his test place with the thinnest of threads.
Whenever he was pushed in a corner, he never liked it. Whether it was a controversy regarding Greg Chappell, or whether it is with Sourav Ganguly, or whether it is with the selectors, and because of that kind of feeling, his batting was affected, was deeply affected.
Just when everyone thought that they had seen the last brick on the wall, Dravid fought his demons to score a match-winning 93 at Perth for an incredible win against Australia.
Just whack it. Very popular in that dressing room.
But his nightmare with the bat continued. Though the Indian selectors gave him a long rope, the cries to drop him grew louder and louder.
He gets out again to the most unlikely.
In December 2008, Dravid silenced his critics yet again, compiling a patient 136 against England at Mohali to put a nightmare year behind.
I would want to see him, living on a high note.
What will the new year hold for one of India's greatest batsmen, a committed team man, a keen student of the game, and a master of his craft? No matter how his career ends, the numbers will always speak the cold truth about the cool technician. Without Rahul Dravid, India's rise in world cricket would have been impossible.
All right, so lots of thoughts about that. Great documentary. I learned so much just from the game and, of course, the player from that. But one thing I noticed about that documentary that I've seen a lot of biopics in film that I don't necessarily like is where they seem to focus a lot on the negativity, on the trial, and not enough on not just the positivity, but the overcoming. Right. Like they would spend about 2 minutes talking about this scandal or this allegation, and then 20 seconds, and he had a good game at the end of the season. I sometimes like to see a little more of the triumph, but
right. I see what you're saying. Watching this right now, it's funny because you were talking about his batting stance is like Ichiro, but his persona, I would say, and I'm only saying this as a Yankee fan, but reminds me of Derek Jeter. Like, Derek Jeter just got into the Hall of Fame, right, with a 98%. Only one person didn't vote for him. First time Hall of Fame, or first ballot Hall of Fame, I should say. And it was crazy because he was never, when you look at his stats, he was never the biggest home run hitter on his team, never always had the biggest average. Defensively, quote unquote, he was, average, even though we all seen some of the plays he made.
It's above average his first 10 years.
He was just a winner. He knew how to win. He carried that presence and that awe about him where whatever Derek Jeter was up the bat, you didn't, like you said, you would put your life on him. You had the $300 million A-Rod up there. I'll take Jeter any day of the week. You know what I mean? And I think he was like that. But then I think that it's a human condition where there was controversy brewing in the team. Coaching, I absolutely hate coaching. Right now, my son is going through some stuff with his high school baseball coaches. And it's one of those things where, especially when some of these coaches who aren't playing, talk demeaningly about players and are very, they're not good managers of men of personality, or in this case, high school players, which are still teenagers, which are still technically kids, it's frustrating. So I always hate to see that. Man, is this who they're making the movie about? Remember, they're making a biopic about? Is it
with Ranveer Singh? I don't know. I don't know if it's about him.
Right.
I'll look that up while you're still talking. But before I look it up, I did want to mention that it's interesting that none of the scandals seem to be about him. It was about other things that he couldn't control, at least the way I interpreted it. And also, the captaincy was really interesting to me. Right. Most sports, you have captains, you have team leaders.
Right.
But it seemed like, I'm not sure when they say captaincy if you're also like a player manager type position, because in baseball they used to have that with Babe Ruth days or whatever, Ted Williams, player managers where they were the manager but they were also one of the players because they were so good. It seems like that captaincy, I mean, it talked about how stressful and how much he didn't excel in some areas on being a captain, and he eventually relinquished it so he can focus on his batting. I wonder what are all the pressures that come into, besides the obvious things where you got to be that example, you have to lead that team, let's get pumped up. And in this case, you have that coach that didn't work too well. But let us know what some other things that a captain needs to do for him to be so stressed about to relinquish that.
I kind of equate it to basically our current positions right now, okay? I am responsible for myself. I'm responsible for my performance. I'm responsible for my class. You're responsible for, a lot of people. So it's one of those things where, me personally, I would not be comfortable because while you're responsible for everyone else's academic performance, how they do with their students, I can only control what I can control. It takes a special personality, a special person to want to take that pressure on, and I could see it because if I give you a piece of advice or if I tell you to do something a certain way and it doesn't work, then, it's going to be one of those things where, is that on me? Did I fail? And even if you succeed with 10 of your players, but another 10 of your players fail, do you still look at that as a failure? So it would be a tough position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to you. This looks like it's a different player named Kapil Dev. The film is 83. I don't think it's got Ranveer Singh's wife in it, Deepika. That's awesome. Right. I don't see it's got our man Pankaj. I don't see this having a trailer out yet, but it is coming out. Oh, it comes out next month.
Hopefully they release it here.
Can't wait till this trailer comes out, because you would think by conventional wisdom the trailer should be dropping in a few days. If it's out already, let us know, but I didn't see it out. Right. I would pretty sure I would have noticed that. But about the 1983 Cricket World Cup team, he was the captain, so we'll be able to learn a lot from that.
Right.
I don't know anything about this movie, but it's got Pankaj Tripathi. He's got to be the coach, right? I mean, he's an older gentleman.
I'm assuming.
But I love learning about these different things. I love trying to not make connections to baseball, but that's our background in sports. Baseball is my favorite sport. I'm not more on the coaching side like you look at it in that way. You've coached your kids, but I'm more of the fan side of things I've noticed. And so, there's different similarities with baseball. You have to have your mechanics sound as a base. You can be a future Hall of Famer and still have to work on your mechanics and get coaching every day and look at tape. And it seems like in cricket, you have a more dangerous ball coming at you. You have different rules than baseball has. And so they call him the wall probably because he just stays pat and he's not moved by either those spinning balls or those swing balls so that he can protect not just the wickets, but protect his team by getting that hand-eye coordination as sound as it is. That was really impressive for me.
Right.
And, it was cool to react to that. Thanks for the request. We love Cricket Tuesdays. Every time we do this, I get a little nervous because I know the copyright implications. And so if you're sending us requests, the reason why we're not adhering to it besides the volume of those requests is because it's from a big-time channel, which we know more than likely they're going to come after us. But we do this with nothing but just trying to learn about the game, and so we appreciate you always checking out these videos.
Absolutely, absolutely. But guys, let us know in the comments below. We love the interaction. Again, they mentioned something about a scandal earlier in there, and I'm interested to find out about where, because it sounded like he said a match-fixing scandal. So was it where a team was either throwing a game or teams were not matched up? I mean, we've had tons of scandals here in the States. And here's the thing. When it comes to professional sports, there is so much money involved. Well, there is so much money for players, for coaches, for, there's television contracts, sponsors that, a lot of teams and a lot of players and a lot of individuals might take the chance and do something. Forget about shade of gray. They may go all the way into the black in order.
Because you're talking about a job. I mean, in baseball, you can get called up from performance and called down, never invited back. Right. I'm sure cricket's very. I mean, this guy was the best in the amateur league until he had to get his chance, I think, 5 years later to get on the Indian team. But there's a lot of scandals out there that we don't know about, that no one's ever going to find out. So you have that risk of, is anyone really going to find out? And typically the ones that people do find out is because you were so careless and you were so confident no one would find out that it was just... And even people that know about it, they're afraid to come out and reveal that. So let us know what that scandal was, because I remember us asking this question before, and someone had said, oh, there's no scandals in cricket. And I appreciate your passion, but let's be realistic. Every sport's got some scandals.
Oh, yeah. Somebody else said so in another comment. They was like, oh, yeah, we've had, I think somebody immediately responded like, oh, yeah, there's been scandals in cricket. Come on, any sport. Again, any sport where there's a competitive nature and there's a monetary aspect to it where big money's going to be made. People get tempted and stuff happens. It is what it is, But that's our reaction today. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Cricket Tuesday. Somebody was like, Wicked Cricket, what was it, Friday or Saturday? Wicked Wednesday. I like Wicked Wednesday too, because it goes with wickets, you know what I mean?
I like that too, but it's just like people will still say, change the name of your channel. We love your channel, but your name's killing you. And why would we change the channel name now? There's just no way. We love it too much.
Plus, the wife thinks I'm boring. My students think I'm boring.
Perfect fit.
Sometimes, if I'm having a tough time getting to sleep, I'll call Nick on the phone like, oh, he changed his voicemail. I forgot about that. You changed your voicemail. I called you today. I was like, yes, he changed the voicemail.
Last thing I want to say is how dare he bring a Knicks hat when a Lakers hat is in screen.
Oh, man.
His Knicks are still going down. They just treated their number one fan, who's paying $3,400 a seat, Spike Lee. They treated him disrespectfully. You've never been a fan of James Dolan, and I'm not going to say anything else because of that, because there's too much power out in the world. But
oh my God! All I gotta say is Spike Lee, who's a huge American movie director, one of the biggest Knicks fans ever, one of the biggest super fans. He has spent $10 million over the last 20 years as a Knicks fan, and they just banned him from the Garden because he talked about an owner.
The wrong entrance.
And it wasn't about that. It's because he's been making very disparaging comments about the owner. Because the owner himself said, I don't care if we win or lose. The Knicks are the most profitable franchise in basketball. They make more money than your Lakers. Yeah, they do. It's ridiculous. So he's like, why would I do anything different? And people are like, this is not a business. This is a sport. People live and die for these teams. They care. And he said, he literally said in the interview, we're still in the green. As long as people show up to the tickets and we got all our sponsors, I don't care. What kind of an owner are you, dude? Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, James Dolan could actually have people go to my house and stuff, so I won't say anything else. But horrible owner.
As much as I clown his Knicks have more championships than my Padres and Chargers combined. So I try to shut up. But thanks so much. We are off the rails. We almost lasted the entire video, but that was my fault. Until next time.
Later.